Hey, welcome to the Cybersky. Thanks for joining. Welcome to my first podcast on the Cybersky channel. We're coming to you on YouTube Live on Cybersky videos. Thank you to everyone out there who's checking it out. For those that don't know, this is not even episode 1. And I don't know if you've ever heard of episode 0, but this is episode -1. That's what I build it as. Episode 0 is like when you want to do like an introductory episode before your actual first podcast, just to test out the system and let people know what your show is about. But this is actually that. This is episode -1. I was procrastinating for a long time and not starting the podcast. So I basically just pushed myself to just go live today and start. So we do have some topics and we have some guests today. So it is going to be an actual show. Just to let you know, I've been putting up videos on the Cybersky Videos channel for a while now. Some of them are on health and nutrition. Some of them are about technology and using Zoom, QuickTime to do screen captures, and using Google Classroom for teachers and students, things like that. I even put up a video dedicated to my mom who passed in April of 2020 to the coronavirus. So you can find that on the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please go check out all the videos that I've put up thus far. And my most recent video was of me and my dad playing jazz outside my childhood home in Park Slope Music. So if you haven't checked that out, you definitely want to listen to it. It's about 30 minutes of music. And we stop in the middle to salute the frontline workers and then continue playing. But now I've decided to start my very own video and audio podcast. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. The more likes and comments we get on the video, the better we do with the YouTube algorithm. So let me introduce myself for those who don't know me, because I'm sure several of you are friends, but the algorithm probably brought a few of you here. My name is Graham Cybersky, aka Mr. Cybersky. That's like a nickname that my students gave me. I'm an educator, public school system, Brooklyn, New York, a technology leader, a musician. I'm an MC, DJ, and producer. I'm also a martial artist, a Star Wars fan, huge Star Wars fan. And I'm a health and fitness proponent. I'm always trying to better my health and, increase my longevity and just get in good shape. I'm getting a little older, so I'm trying to always look for those ways to use food as medicine and, avoid going to the doctors. And prevention is way better than treatment. So, I'm trying to prevent myself from getting all those things that we all succumb to when we get older. I'm also a Rubik's Cube enthusiast. As you can see from my set, I've got a lot of cubes behind me. And actually, some of my podcasts are going to be stories about each of these cubes. Each one has a story. I'll just give you a little preview of this one. This is my homemade Lego piece, Rubik's Cube. Basically, it's, if you look at it, it's not really, the edges are not cut that smoothly because this was made by a 4th grader. When I first started teaching Rubik's Cube in my public school technology classes, one of my students, I would give him a shout out, Joseph. He actually was making these. He figured out a little entrepreneurial business to make some money, and he started gluing different things to different cubes and also removing some of the pieces. But on this one, he put Rubik's Cube, he put Lego pieces on there. Now, I think he pioneered this because this was a few years ago. He gave this to me as a gift. I always keep it and cherish it. It's a great memory of that class and that student and when I was doing Rubik's Cube. But now Rubik's actually partnered with Lego and came out with a cube that has Lego pieces on it. So, but I think Joseph did it first. I'm not sure. I have to ask him. Did he get the idea or did he just come up with that? But anyway, so that's going to be another series that I do, a podcast all about Rubik's Cube stuff. Now, for today, we have several topics. I'm going to give you the topics right now so you can stay tuned. And I really want people to comment and give us your opinions about these topics. We're going to start the conversation. It's going to be about an hour podcast today. And then we're going to continue this conversation in the comments online. So first, we're going to talk about the Rubik's Cube movie. And then we're going to talk about the new, they're making a Rubik's Cube movie. Yep. Toys, right? They did a Lego movie, so they're going to do Rubik's Cube. We're going to talk about Cobra Kai, the next season, which is about to come out. And see what you guys thought about the first 2 seasons. I'm a big fan. And then Andrew Yang, what do these three have in common? They're all on the Cybersky show. Andrew Yang threw his hat into the mayoral race in New York City. He's running for mayor. And one of the first things he did, and he's getting attacked, is he made a speech about supporting bodegas in the city. And he did a little commercial and it came out. And in the speech, he walks through, a bodega, well, what he says is a bodega. And he's basically trying to do something positive. He's offering his support to these small businesses. But a lot of people picked up on the fact that, well, they say where he was really wasn't a bodega. So we have a special guest who's going to come in later who's sort of an expert on bodegas. So we're going to have a little discussion on that. But right now, I'd like to introduce my guest co-host. This man has a podcast called Spellbroken, and he's also part of the Fandom Menace. He'll tell you a little bit more about that, but let me bring him on. I was on his podcast a couple of weeks ago. I really appreciate him. So let's bring him in to here. Hey, Super Saiyan. Oh, man, Dmajini. I can't say all of that now. It took like 7 years to learn Dmajini. You know what I mean?
I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball Z, so I had to do that in there. That was actually from when I got better from being sick, and I figured I should just throw in some Super Saiyan stuff to say I kind of beat it. So that's what that was.
That's right. Superhuman. That's awesome. So, I mean, obviously, I mentioned that you have Spellbroken, but everyone can see you got the graph head hat. But what else are you into, and what's your podcast about before we even talk about these topics?
So my YouTube channel / podcast, that's everything I do over there. I basically do pop culture and entertainment commentary. So I not only just talk about Star Wars, I'll talk about, like what you talk about, Cobra Kai, G.I. Joe, you name it. I'll talk about it because it's something that I like. It's because, growing up, I was the geeky kid. And then, when I got to junior high school, I started, getting into a little graffiti. Don't do that, kids. But, and, that's basically what what got me into that. So, and then I do hip hop. Hip hop for me is more of a hobby. I didn't make it into a business because things just didn't fall the way I want. But I still do hip hop every now and then. I'm actually working on a new song right now. I'm not telling y'all anything about it, but I'm working on something right now. But yes, that's what I'm doing right now. And like I said, my channel, I like to talk about just about pop culture and entertainment. I try to stay away from politics because that could get a little dicey.
Right. I've been staying away from it as well. But if those who know me personally, like if you go on my Facebook page, like I'm so political and I'm on there debating and arguing with people to death. So I've always thought like I should stop doing that on Facebook because that's where it helps Facebook to get some money because there's a lot of comments and views, but it's wasting my time. I should start doing that on YouTube so it could help build up the channel. But like you say, I've tried to stay away from it because I don't want to,
it could get a little
create a lot of bitterness between friends.
Yeah, it could be a little perilous. It can. But as far as political stuff, if you want to catch Dmajini in his political atmosphere, listen to my rhymes because that's why I usually like to throw it in that. That's where because like you say how KRS-One was like an inspiration for you, and as it was for me too. Like with him, I like the fact that he always tried to teach people things. So that's why I put my political stances or what I kind of, what I believe in. Sometimes people might say it's tinfoil hat, but when you look at things, tinfoil hat stuff is kind of becoming real live stuff. If you look how 1984 was, look how we are right now. I'm just saying.
It's very trendy right now, definitely.
Yeah.
So tell them what your channel is called if you didn't say that, and any other things.
Well, my channel is actually the same name as me. Is Dmajini. Actually, the funny thing about my channel is that it actually started. It wasn't. I had my channel since like 2009, 2008. I had it for a very long time, but I really didn't use it to my utmost ability because what I would do is that I would go to hip hop shows. I either record them or when I'm there, like I would put basically I would just put hip hop stuff on there, like when I go to shows, and then just do it like that. And then it was actually the very first like actual like me talking on screen deal was I did the reaction to Black Panther. Was that 2017 when that came out? Was it? So I did that one then, and then
time flies. It feels like it was like a year ago.
Yeah, it does feel like it was really like, especially since, from last year. Last year just felt like it was like non-existent, and that was like my very first, like, hey, I'm kind of talking to you with the screen type of deal. And then it went to, I'm going to say it was actually a game, Mass Effect Andromeda was what really, it really, how Peter Griffin says, it grinded my gears. Okay. So that was like my first, like, me, like, kind of like complaining about like where entertainment is going. And then, you know, there's that. And I noticed that you mentioned Fandom Minutes. Fandom Minutes really isn't like a group. It's really more of a hashtag that people just, you know, go behind. Like we put that. It's just basically a collective of people who didn't like where entertainment was going. It started out from Star Wars, but then it spread out to basically almost everything. But if you want to talk about my real group, my group is the Dark Council. That's on Tuesdays.
The Dark Council. That's right. I wanted to mention that. Dark Council is my crew. But Dark Council and Fandom Minutes does show that you have a lot of Star Wars influence on
yes, you know. most definitely. Like I said, it grew from Star Wars, but then it just turned to everything else. But like Dark Council, we basically talk about, it's basically like a hangout. So like I was actually talking to my boy today. I was like, man, we didn't have one. We just took a break this week. I was like, it's like that's more like my therapy. You know, going there and being able to just chill out, hang out, laugh. We make fun of each other. You know what I'm saying? This is a good vibe. You know what I'm saying? And you know the fans, they enjoy it. I shouldn't say fans, but you know the people that support us, they enjoy it, and that's what they come for, to laugh. And then, you know, we got Abu Nas, he does his rhymes and stuff and everything like that. But
I mean, people can tell that both of us are super nerds because everything I do is about technology. I got the Rubik's Cubes. You got the Star Wars fandom. And also just entertainment. You talk about comic books and things like that, you know.
Oh, yeah, definitely that too. Definitely that.
Definitely, if you're into those things, check out Dmajini's podcast and also subscribe to this one. So our guest was in the waiting room, but his connection dropped off. So I think he's probably going to jump back in a minute. But we're going to start. That's like a surprise special guest. I'm considering you like a guest host for today because you're going to host all of these topics with me. And then we're going to bring him in at the end, you know, to talk about that one topic. Okay. So let me see if I can do the screen share because as I told everyone, this is episode -1.
Oh, speaking of -1,
I think did I invent that or I've done that before? Did you do that?
No, I was going to say, you know, when you said nobody ever heard like a zero issue, you know what's crazy about that? The first zero issue, and I actually still have it. Speaking of comics, I have Magneto Zero. That's really? Collected. Yes, I have a Magneto
I didn't even know that they did that in comic books. I thought I just got that as a podcasting term.
Yes.
Let's say you start a podcast, you're not sure what it's going to be about. So you do 3 or 4 episodes and then you go like, oh, now I really know. And then you record your episode 0 and then you put that at the beginning. But you also could do an episode 0 first because you're not sure what to do and you don't want to call that episode 1 yet.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm such a newbie. Like I had to text you right before this to ask you how to let you into the podcast because that's how new I am to the technology. We're using Streamyard. This is not sponsored, but I'm just letting people know what we're doing because
they can see the Streamyard right in the corner.
No doubt. I like that. Oh, so we are sponsored. You know?
Well, you know what it is when you
upgrade, when you pay.
Yeah, when you upgrade, you can actually take that off because then you're paying for it essentially. But that's basically how they pay for it, is just showing their logo and all that stuff like that.
Right. And I'm not going to pay until I know I really like StreamYard. So
no doubt.
And once I like it, you know, I might do it. But
you know who does that real well is
who does that?
EOW. I love how they do the cross stream with that.
Yes.
They do Zoom and then they do the YouTube on the side. The only downside to that is that I noticed when they do that, they only see the Zoom side of comments. Because, like, I'll be in the chat talking and nobody sees me.
Really?
Yeah, because technically speaking, they should probably have up, like, 3 or 4 screens. That's what I do here now. I actually, my goal this year is I'm probably going to get me another monitor so I can kind of, like, spread this out so I can have more screens up. Because that's a big plus to be able to have, hey, I got this screen here for this. I got this screen here. But, like, right now I got everything kind of small. And I got, like, 5 tabs open.
Right. But listen, save some of that because I'm going to have you back in a couple of weeks when I do my Creators podcast. The Creators series is going to be where I interview people like yourself and other creators on how they do their show, what their preparation is, what their topics are about, all their equipment, little problems that they had along the way. Because I want to really salute and big up everyone who's doing content, whether it's on IG, you know, YouTube, Facebook, however they do their content. I'm even going to interview some documentary filmmakers about their process of creating their documentaries. So not only YouTube stuff, but I'm definitely going to have you back for a full episode just to discuss that with you.
Oh, that sounds good.
But let's just take a moment to shout out some people in the chat. Really appreciate you guys. And then we're going to go into topic number 1, which is the Rubik's Cube movie. So big up to MCMI Report. Of course, that's the fam, that's the label, the brand, where I do my music. All Caps Design. Oh, big capper, no doubt. Stronghold Caps Design. What up? And Nina Infinity, I see that you're in here dropping some comments. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, that's my people.
So,
Nina.
the more people that enter the chat, we'll shout you out later in the show.
Yeah, make sure you tell a friend, everybody out there. Just make sure you spread the link out and tell them we out here live. That's what you got to do.
Right. If they want to get a shout out in the video, they got to get in now. They can't watch it.
Also, and when you tell them to, make sure you like the smash button, man. Like the smash button. Always do that. Put those thumbs up. That engagement helps.
Thank you, sir. See, that's why I need you. You're like my coach for this episode. Yeah. So now I'm trying to find the Rubik's Cube share. Okay, let's look at this one first because there's several articles that I'm going to look at. Let's put this up real quick. So Rubik's Cube movie is in the works from Hyde Park and Endeavor Content. This just came out a couple weeks ago that they're doing this. And, I'm putting the article up on the screen so people can see the stories. But basically, in a nutshell, they're going to have a movie just like they did the Lego movie. That was like one of the biggest grossing films, toy films. And so they're like, okay, what's next? Now, for those who don't know, Rubik's Cube, it was founded in the 70s and came to America in the 80s. And the guy who invented it, his name is Rubik's. That's why it's called Rubik's Cube. His name is Ernyo Rubik. So he has owned and nurtured that company and built it over the years. And they've done over 450 million just in Rubik's Cube sales. That doesn't include like the 30 movies and television shows that they've been in. Like they were in the Spider-Verse. They did the Rubik's Cube in there. They're on Big Bang Theory. Rubik's Cube is everywhere. So they get money for other things as well. But 450 million just from sales of the Cube. And now, the guy, he's getting older now, Rubik, and he sold the company this year, like a couple months ago. He sold Rubik finally to the same company that owns Etch-a-Sketch and a bunch of other toys. So he got out. I think he sold it for $50 million. I'll do a whole episode on that called Cube Talk, and you'll see that up here. But now, he sold it, and then boom, next thing you know, they're going to come out with the movie. So probably the people that bought the Cube, they either were like, let's make money off of this now with the movie, or maybe he kept the rights to the movie. I don't really know.
I hope he could have easily put that as a clause. You don't want him to end up like George Lucas.
Exactly.
He got no say in anything. That's the downside. Like if you do make a powerful brand, and then somebody's going to come out and say, hey, listen, I'll buy this from you. Make sure you got lawyers on top of lawyers so that you make sure you get a cut of that, because usually whenever it comes down to it, if a bigger company buys it, they're usually going to try to expand upon it. And you want to make sure you get a cut of that. That's what you want to make sure you're doing.
So while I'm putting up different screen shares, I was wondering what you think of that. First of all, I don't know how much you're into Rubik's Cubes or if you even care about them, but can you picture that as a movie?
I'm just trying to figure out how would they do that. Because like with Lego, it's like they have like the little characters. So you got like, you can kind of have like a actual, like quote unquote cartoon character, which are Lego characters, but Rubik's really didn't have a character that was like a brand. It didn't have like a Mario or a Sonic, you know what I'm saying? It just was the Cube. So the closest thing I seen to that was like in Transformers when they had the Cube, even though that was such a bastardization of what Transformers were. It was really the Allspark, not the Cube, but they went with the Cube in the Michael Bay Transformers, and then like when they first saw this big giant cube and it like transforms all the way down to a little one, and then Bumblebee puts it in his car and everything. So that was the closest I seen to anybody doing it. Now they could say that the Cube is probably a power source. They could do something like that. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. I don't know how they would be able to do something like that.
Well, let me tell you, and then I'm going to read some of this article. There was a Rubik's Cube television show in the 80s.
I do remember that.
Cube was a cartoon character, and it flew around, and it had a face, and it was a superhero. It had powers, and there were these group of kids, and they would solve mysteries, and they would bring the Cube along, and he would help them. Now, I never watched it, but when I was researching for my YouTube video, The Complete History of the Rubik's Cube, I think it's in part 1, but it might be in part 2. But go check that out on the channel. Shameless plug. I found out about it, and I was like, man, I wish I knew about this in the 80s, because I'm a big time 80s head. Grew up in the 70s and 80s. So it is possible to, what do you call that in writing when you take an inanimate object? Is it personification? Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
To personify. But basically, it says here, the film, details of which are still sparse, will be produced by Armitage and executive produced by Priya Armitage and Addison Mayer for Hyde Park. Meanwhile, the game show, they're going to make a game show now as well, will be executive produced by the same people, Armitage and Andrew Glassman of Glassman Media. One of the most recognizable toys around. 450 million Rubik's Cubes have been sold. Wow. Created by Hungarian sculptor and architect Ernest Rubik. Right. I told you all that. Go check out the history of for more of that. But this is kind of interesting. A lot of people have a nostalgic connection with the Rubik's Cube, whether you were able to solve it or not. Everyone's not a genius like me and the less than 5% of the population that knows how to solve the Rubik's Cube.
I've seen one of those things you're talking about too, with the speed one.
Right.
It was a random one. It was like this little girl. She was like, "Krrrr." I was like, what? I was like, that's insane. And that was like crazy. Like that's really impressive. Yeah, she was like, and put it together fast. I'm like, that's great.
Now I'm not a speed cuber. I go for different types of puzzles like numbers. So it takes me about 90 seconds to solve a cube. And the speed cubers, really, by definition, if you could solve it in under 15, under 12 seconds, then you're a speed cuber, right? You're in that category. When you're 30 seconds, you're approaching it, but you're still just solving it. But the record now is like 3.77, I believe, unless it was broken recently, seconds? And I don't know. Yeah, it was 4.2 last year for a while, and then it was controversial. The 3.77 second win. I should do a whole episode on that. It was controversial because nobody was really watching. Like, he didn't film it up close. He was just out of competition. Nobody was looking. And then he said, oh, and then everyone looked at his time. So first people said, no, it's a scam. He didn't really do it. There's no proof of it. But later there was a security camera that did catch it. So from far away, you could see it and zoom in. It was bad. It was pixelated, but you could see. Yeah. So they did certify that, and he is the champion.
Wow.
But anyway, I just wonder what people in the chat, are going to think, or even on the comments later, about the Rubik's Cube movie. Are you excited about that? I mean, I'm just curious as to how they're going to make a story around it. That's all.
Yeah, that to me too. And the only other thing I'm noticing, I get it, they want to make return on the investment, but me, as both of us, really, we're Gen Xers, right? So
right.
Us growing up with all that stuff, it's just getting a little lame to me that we're constantly redoing the stuff that we had as kids. Because technically speaking, like you say, they had that cartoon. Even though I vaguely remember the cartoon, but still, like, you're still kind of doing the same thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. I get it. It's almost like shouts to my brother Pac FM where he did. I bleep and hate rappers, and there's a thing in there about people doing the nostalgia thing. Yeah, that's keeping it clean. And there's a skit in there where you're saying the dude was talking about, oh yeah, that retro stuff, man. It's the 80s, man. And he's like, no, you know what I'm saying? That's what I think about when I see all this stuff. Like, they keep doing the retro stuff, but I got you though.
No doubt. Yeah. So, I just threw up one more article to show, because I'm not going to play the video because I don't know.
Yeah, you don't want
to will allow that, but you can see this. You can see the thumbnail from the Spider-Verse when he had the Rubik's Cube.
You can do it, but you got to stop it. And you got to make sure that
you got to time it just right.
Low. Yeah, the audio. You got to have the audio real low. You can stop it. You got to stop it. Essentially you can do commentary on it, basically, as long as you're doing commentary and it's transformative. But then they have those. But you should be fine. You should be fine. So.
Well, let's talk about the next thing. I'm going to pull up something to look at. I thought I had it up, but episode -1. That's why this is not. I'm not a seasoned pro yet. I'm learning this while we're doing it. Best way to do something is just jump in.
Oh yeah.
Make a mistake. You just, hey, I'll fix it on the fly. Then next time I won't make that mistake.
So speaking of which, I'm actually going to. That's one thing I should have plugged at the beginning. I may start doing some actual live gaming up here. So I did a test run a couple weeks ago. That was very interesting. Now, the only problem is my camera that I have doesn't work directly with PlayStation 4. So I'm actually, tomorrow, I'm probably just going to go out and get me the PS4 camera just so I can film and talk, because basically when I was playing, I had to stop and type to comment to the people that was in there. I had to do my keyboard. But I want to be able to just say, somebody say something, I can just talk. You know what I'm saying?
It's a little complicated, yeah.
Definitely.
So the next topic is the Cobra Kai, season 4. Now, did you watch seasons 1 and 2?
Oh, I watched all 3 of them. I watched all 3 of them. So I binged 3. Matter of fact, I binged each one when they came out. Literally, like I watched all 3 of them straight through.
I was pretty sure you had, that's why I knew like we could discuss it on the show. How do I get both of us? So on StreamYard, apparently, or maybe on the free version, I can't put both of us on the screen and a little pop up of the website I'm sharing, right?
Yeah, you can.
Because when I'm trying to do it, I'm getting this. I don't know. You can't see what I'm doing, but basically, it removed you and it put me next to Cobra Kai. Here it is. Here it is. Hey, see, I got to learn on the fly. So basically, I love the first. A lot of times reboots are trash. Let's just be honest. I love how they did this one. I
don't even consider it an actual reboot. I consider this a continuation.
Yeah,
because a reboot would be what they did with Jaden Smith. That was like a reboot when they had Jackie Chan kind of being in the Mr. Miyagi, and then they were in China, and in that one, I believe they were in China. They weren't in Japan because Mr. Miyagi is supposed to be Japanese. So, but the one with Jaden Smith, that to me was more of a reboot. This is a continuation. And this again plays into what we were just talking about, us being Gen Z and bringing stuff back. But with this, I think they did it such a good way because it's continuing the story without repeating itself. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So, and that's one of the things I really appreciated about that story, especially how they're telling it.
So, yeah, because they actually answered some questions. Like, if you ever wonder what happened before or after, like they do flashbacks. I really found it interesting that they actually had the footage from the movies. So it wasn't like an unauthorized version. No, they were together with the original makers.
For what I understand is they have some of the footage, like the extra footage that got cut, stuff that get cut, and they're using some of that stuff in the movie. I mean, in the show, you know what I'm saying? So you are getting actual footage from the Karate Kid, but you're getting it from different angles and stuff that you probably wouldn't have seen in the original, movie. But it's still from that time. It's that snapshot in time where they're getting that from.
Exactly.
And I also like the fact that it's actually showing how basically Daniel was the douchebag. Exactly. I like that concept. I really do.
I mean, if anyone has not watched this show, because I can understand, to be honest, the original movies, they're corny, but they're still great. It was about that. There's a whole genre of movie like this, and there's this place in my neighborhood, in Clinton Hill, Urbana Outpost. They used to show films on the wall of the building next door. They used to project. It's an outdoor place, right? And you could sit there with your food and watch movies. And they used to play a lot of classic movies like Warriors, Pretty in Pink, and Karate Kid. And those videos all have a nostalgic value, as well as, yes, when they came out, we were all kids. Well, not everybody, but you and I and our generation, we were young. This was the time for us to love movies like that. And of course, myself, I'm into martial arts. Do you do any martial arts, or did you when you were younger?
It's funny you mentioned that because I actually told a story on one of my channels. I tell it for here. When I was a kid, I used to watch all the old school kung fu flicks, and I was all hyped about doing it. So my mom was like, "I want to take you to karate school." And then the first day I went there, I was such a little freaking enclosed kid. I'm trying to keep it clean, but I didn't last very long. As I got older, I would learn the little things here. Like my brothers were into more martial. They actually were into it, and I would kind of train with them every now and then. But I never had an actual sensei. And I would have loved to do that, but now I just feel like, can I do this now? I mean, I know I listened to this guy named Ramsey Dewey. Big shout to him. He's a sensei. He's a coach
Yeah, I listen to he's the coach. He doesn't even want to be called like the Sifu, the sensei, nothing.
Exactly.
He's not like into this master stuff. He's just like, my job is to help you improve.
Exactly. I love listening to his show. He said if you feel you could do it, just gotta do it. Just get out there and train. So what I gotta start doing, which because me getting over my sickness, I've slacked off this whole month. So I feel like I feel like freaking Stay Puft Marshmallow Man right now, because I basically I really wasn't doing much of anything. So I have actually ordered me a indoor bike trainer. I can't wait for that to come in so I can get some riding my bike in the house and start getting some more cardio in. And I got to get back into it. That's the first thing I got to get into. Then I might actually think about go ahead and going into an actual gym and getting some formal training. Like I said, like my stuff was more informal. So I know some basic stuff, but I never really had anything that was like that you could say, hey, if I walked in there, I would technically be a white belt. Basically,
you'd see yourself as a beginner.
Yeah.
Well, we're all students, even no matter like I've been studying since, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 years now. So I started as a little kid, My parents put me in Taekwondo school. That was the first thing when I was 5, So I stayed with that for a couple of years. I think I got up to 2nd degree green belt, broke some boards at some forms. They actually had sparring when I was a little kid, like growing up. It I guess 1970. It was the 70s, late 70s when I was 5, 6. So there wasn't like this worrying about people getting hurt. There was no equipment.
Oh yeah,
no, it was like even little kids. And what my teacher explained is like when you're 5, yes, you don't want to get hurt, but how strong is another 5-year-old? You're hitting each other much lighter than adults.
Exactly.
Kind of like when you think about lightweight boxing versus heavyweight boxing. There's a lot of difference in the power. So when you're a little kid, so they let us spar. We used to, mix it up.
Yeah, it's really more. It's more like forms and stuff where you're doing that. Like speaking of Ramsey Dewey, one of the things he said is like sparring should be that sparring. You shouldn't be going in there trying to kill each other. You should be going in there to practice your techniques, practice your forms. Your moves, all that stuff like that. That's what you should be doing when you're sparring. You shouldn't be going in there trying to knock each other's heads off. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's more you keeping yourself in the flow of things, so you don't hurt yourself essentially.
Right. So now, oh man, look at this. They're saying like, oh,
yeah, they want you to just exit out of that.
No, man.
They might not let you do it. You might have to go all the way out and redo it.
Yeah, I'm trying to get off of it. But anyway, so what I want to know for the people that are in the chat and the people commenting later, like for instance, shout out to Mel Kwan. Mel Kwan said that the Rubik's cartoon sucked back in the day. So hopefully the movie is better than that. What do you think of the previous Cobra Kai episodes and where the storyline is going? Most people that I know liked it, and even people that were skeptics and said, "Oh, what is this going to be?" And then they watch it, they were like, "This is actually pretty good. It's a new story with new characters, but it has all the old characters as well. But they're older. It's not like they just got someone young to play them. Like
exactly,
Daniel grew up, and the guy that he fought, that it was his mortal enemy, grew up. They became adults. Adults don't keep the beefs they had when we were kids. All the people that bullied me, I became friends with them when I grew up.
Yeah.
I don't think I bullied anyone. Hopefully not. But the point is, like, there were people that were enemies, rivals when I was, adolescent, teenager, and all that. And then at a certain point, you grow up, you outgrow that. So they showed that in the movie, like they got married, jobs, became men. So it's interesting.
Yeah. So the one thing about that show is that it wasn't even necessarily like they had the same beef. It was just more like a rivalry, I think. But when they crossed paths, it's like they kept that animosity. Like I think there's maybe two people. I'm gonna say 2 people. It's 2 people that right now I got a problem with still. Like in
your life, you're not gonna
in my life. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not gonna do that. No, but I'm just saying there's like 2 people in my life that I could say that I actually have a problem with. But everybody else is like I have very few, which is kind of disheartening. I can't find everybody that I went to junior high school and high school with, but the people that I did find, I'm cool with them. Like the funny thing is, I'm not gonna blow her up, but there's actually a woman who is on my Instagram, and I actually met her when I was in kindergarten, and I had a crush on her when I was in kindergarten because I was that kid, and I still talk to her to this day. So you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, and it was, you can keep those friendships forever, and you really don't want to keep that negativity. So I see where you say like they grew up and everything, but they did have a bit of a rivalry, and I think, but now spoiler alert, if you watch the end of it, it all came to, hey, you know, we're actually more alike than we're different. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and that's how they ended it. So.
And I highly encourage anyone to binge watch the first 3 seasons. Don't come in and just watch season 4. Like sometimes they say like, oh, it's a type of show you can just pick it up. No. Go watch all the seasons, binge watch them through, because to get to where they are now, like it's really developed and the story is intricate. Yes. So you really have to go watch them. And by the way, they don't really flashback to all the movies, just basically the original Karate Kid. They don't talk about Karate Kid 7 and Karate Kid 6.5 and you know what I mean? Like they kept making the movies. They really just go from the end of the first movie to now.
Well, so right? I think they actually went, they did 2.
Did they reference another one?
They referenced 2 they referenced 2 because they went to Japan. And what's her name? Let me see if I can. I hate when I forget because she has a very unique name.
So while you're doing that, I'm just let you know we're getting ready to go into our third topic, and we do have a special guest coming in. But for those of you, just about the Cobra Kai thing, like, what are your predictions? Where do you think, especially if you go back and play the last episode of season 3, you know, stream it and remind yourself, where is this story going to go? You know, Moquan says he likes the complexity of the Cobra Kai, of the characters, and yeah, definitely. He said this cheesiness in the fight still exists. That's part of the charm, exactly.
Yes.
Like the way they choreograph, you know, that's part of the charm.
The name I was looking for was Tamlin Tomita, and she played Kumiko. And I was about to say Cobra Kai and Karate Kid 2. She was in 3, and they also brought back his rival, which is Yuji Omikuto. I'm sorry I'm butchering these names, and which is crazy. Like my sister-in-law is Japanese, so I should be ashamed of myself. I'm terrible with the Japanese names. So, but yeah, they brought them back for season 3, and I think, and they actually referenced Karate Kid 3 in these 2. So I think they're only going to be keeping 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
Is what they're going to base Cobra Kai off of, but I did hear they are in talks of probably doing a spin-off to this because there's only so much of this story you can tell. I don't know. Looking at the progression that they have done for season 3, right. I really only think they can maybe do a season or 2 more. That's it. Because you really can't, at that point, you're pushing it. You're pushing it at that point. So if they could probably do season 4, which would be the one they're probably going to be working on shortly, and then maybe a season 5, and I think that'd be a good time for them to say, look, if we're going to spin off something, spin it off, but let's not keep pushing this because then I think it's going to sour it at that point.
Exactly. So speaking of that, let's not keep pushing this topic. Let's jump into our last topic that we're going to close out today and bring in our special guest. So this is what I want to talk about right now. You guys probably have heard that ex-presidential candidate Andrew Yang joins New York City mayoral race. Okay, he's officially entered the mayoral race, and I've already had some conversations with people online about how they feel about that. I was Yang gang, even though I was Bernie also, but I really liked Andrew Yang. I wouldn't have been mad if he, you know, had been the nominee as well, and I'd like to see him doing something. I thought maybe governor would be better than mayor, but there are other mayoral candidates that I like and respect, so that's kind of interesting. I have more than one person that I actually like. I like Eric Adams as well. I like that was my first choice until I found out that Yang is winning. So now I'm like Yang, Adams. But one of the first things that Andrew did is he made a speech, or it actually wasn't a speech. It was like a commercial, I believe, where he talked about supporting bodegas, you know, because the COVID and everything, all those small businesses are struggling. But, you know, corner stores and local stores in the neighborhood, those mom and pop shops, they were able to stay open, and they often had stuff that you couldn't get. When you'd go to Costco, there'd be no paper towels. There would be no hand sanitizer. Your little corner store had some, you know.
Oh, yes, no doubt.
And those businesses have the staples that everyone needs in the community, right? But people took offense and exception to the word bodega because he talked about supporting bodegas, and he filmed it in a store that looked very big with wide aisles, and I think it was Arab owned because they put they interviewed the owners, and it looked like an Arab owner name, and bodega is a Spanish word, and some people feel like you can't really describe every corner store, deli, etc. as a bodega, and other people are like, yeah, it was Spanish, but now we kind of just talk about all of them.
Initially, you would say that, but like there's this place that I always go to every time I go visit my mom or grandma is Farm in the Deli, and I always go to get this up. Let me excuse myself. I'm about to use the wrong hero. I go get my hero from them every time I go there. You know what I'm saying? And I consider that a bodega, but
wait. But I gotta ask you: do you have any Latino heritage in your background? Are you any?
No, I have
Spanish in any way.
I do have an aunt who's Dominican.
Okay,
but like me personally, I have Native American, Black, and Irish. That's my direct descendant.
The reason I asked is because I don't have any in my heritage, and I felt like I cannot talk about this without talking to someone who is from New York and is either Puerto Rican, Dominican, Mexican, something they could like shed some light on the word and give us their perspective. Because I would like to know how they feel about it. So with that, I'm going to bring in our special guest for today. He's also a super duper huge content creator. He's on XM radio. He does video podcasts. He hosts people's shows. He does live hosting. He's all over the place. I'm going to let him tell you a little bit more of his resume, but let's bring him on. Our fellow content creator who is of Latin background, Latino, and let's bring him in. So, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for surprise guest D-Stroy, D-Strizzy. What up? What up? Yo, love your studio. It looks nice over there, man.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm happy you love it. It's very unfortunate that I'm sitting here for all these minutes. You're speaking about Rubik's Cubes, which
you're a Rubik's Cube guy?
Cobra Kai, which I'm familiar with. But you leave me, you as a white man, to speak about the bodega.
Oh, man, there you go.
No, the reason is because of representation. Now, people don't know that I'm going to have a whole episode with you in the future because we're going to talk about you as a creator.
You tell me, D, at 7:40, because I respect your time.
No, I apologize for that, but this is episode -1. I don't know if you heard that in the beginning. This is where I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to jump in because I've been procrastinating for months. So without understanding all of that, so that's another lesson learned for me. If you have someone you're going to bring in on the second half of the show, you could tell them log in around 7:30 or 7:40 instead of making them wait through the whole thing.
I didn't know he was back there the whole time. If I knew that, I would have told you to have him come in.
Well, you can definitely.
Know what he's doing. You're supposed to do this with people who like you, who are willing to learn with you, who are willing for you to be successful, not waste people's time. Who's got shit to do?
Bro, chill out, man. Do a Rubik's Cube and relax, all right?
But so how do you feel about that? The word bodega, man. He brought up a very interesting point. I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, but but I always called the corner store. All my corner stores were technically bodegas, which back in the day on my block, that's all it really were. You really didn't have obviously when we were growing up, there were no 7-Elevens in Brooklyn. That was not happening. There was no Starbucks. There was none of that. So I would call, I would just call it the corner store. I really didn't outright say, hey, go to the bodega. But now, as I got older, I guess to me, I just call them bodegas. But, that was an interesting point that you brought, that it should be more like the Spanish-owned ones. But how do you feel about that? When
I was growing up, they were all Spanish. In the 70s,
they were. For the
on
most part,
Dean Street and 4th Avenue in Brooklyn, the corner stores were all Latin-owned, In my neighborhood, it was all Puerto Rican. So
mine was too.
So D-Stroy,
No, I'll let you have the whole freaking conversation with me just here.
That's on Dmajini, yeah.
All right, so it's like if you met you went to what high school you went to?
I went to Westinghouse.
You went to Westinghouse, cool. That's one school that didn't accept me. But if you went to Westinghouse and you came across a Dominican kid, right, who spoke Spanish, you didn't back then say, that's a black dude, B. Nah, he's Dominican. I don't understand what he's talking about. Right now, later on, because we become a little bit understanding identity. Some people have some lineage and some history that go back to, it all goes back to Africa. For some people, of course, those of darker skin, we kind of start understanding Afro-Latino and that whole concept.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost the same identity in regards to, and sensitivity for some, for Bodega. Now, the trick right now is that they actually created an organization to benefit the bodega. And what falls under those is the deli. So I think it's like, you know what happens when a hipster comes to New York City? They just want to say all the provocative words.
Yeah.
And one of them are bodega.
There you go.
Because they want to tell their family in Michigan, they always go to the bodega every day. You understand?
Yeah.
But what Andrew Yang, who's a cool dude, he worked in a very clean-cut Dwayne Reed looking deli.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
To identify that as a bodega, it almost becomes a very sanitized version on what it is to be a black man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So I'm talking very specific in that because it's a thing of identity, right? If it's the only placeholders that some people may have for people of my descent, then it's important to acknowledge it for not only what it's called, but what was the culture inside a bodega when you walked in? What music was playing?
I'm listening to Spanish music all the time.
Speaking?
Yeah,
was there
Spanish.
A cat there? Were they playing dominoes?
You ain't lying, bro. Like that's he hitting every the corner store. Like I grew up on Clausen, so the corner store that was over there, they always had a cat, 1 or 2 cats walking around. The aisle is really only 2 aisles. You have it was like a U. Your drinks is all here, and then everything's in the middle, right? And then like if you want your knickknacks, whatever, is behind the counter.
The reason for the space was the rent of the real estate. These were small entrepreneurs who opened businesses. These were not big chains like Starbucks, you know.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So there's a limited space.
If I can speak for the last couple of moments of this freaking tester demo show, bodegas were owned by people who live like on the block that the bodega was on. You know, so they were part of the community. They didn't come there and then open up the bodega. And go back to wherever they lived. I'm not saying that the ones that are delis now do not live in the hood, but it was like a place of like, man, this is for my hood. You know what I mean? Kind of like I'm running a store, and that little kid right there will grow up to be a man, have a kid, and then that kid will be my customer in the store because I seen that kid come up. It was a very family thing in Brooklyn before people like Super moved out, got rich, and abandoned their culture, you know. So, you know, some people are still attached.
That didn't happen.
Oh, good. You have money. Your hat is nice. Not everybody has money to have nice hats that say Graph Heads. You know what I mean?
This is a birthday present, by the way, from Pac
exactly.
FM.
You got cool friends with money to give presents.
Yo, D, does your hat have a tag on it, or what does it have? Like my
hat.
Oh, it's a button. Okay.
So my hat has buttons.
That's dope. Okay, so I couldn't tell.
What's unfortunate is that another thing you have to do, GMS, when you have guests of my caliber. Okay. You say, hey, this guy, you know, he has this thing called Show Off Your Gems. It's a show about hip hop, collectibles, comic books, sneakers, game culture. If you got to watch it. You got to enjoy it. He does his show. Now, you don't need to specifically know the details and where and when I do the show, but just kind of make people interested for the person who's about to speak and why are they worth hearing or listening to.
No doubt. One of the reasons I have trouble with that with you is you did so many things and they're all amazing and they're all big. And so like, I'm like, do I talk about, you know, his sports arena stuff? Do I talk about his hosting hip hop shows on Sirius XM radio? Do I talk about Show Off Your Gems or, you know, your records with Tony Touch and all your hip hop career, the Arsonist? It's a lot, man. It's a lot. So, but thank you for schooling me. I am going to grow with time, but don't think that because this is episode -1 that it's not going anywhere. It's going to be seen a lot. I'm going to push this for a while and, you know, build it up before I actually launch my episode 1 and continue from there. So this will always be there. We're not pulling it down.
If there's anything I can share with the people that are viewing and you guys, a lot of people viewing may have ideas and they're hesitant to start something or do something. Just go for it. The truth is that what I started here, I'm already in conversations with some cool people to expand what it is. But how it took place was me just going for it. I just started. I just went and did it. And I managed everybody's time correctly. So my guests have been Everlast, Static Selecta, the cast, the Blackish. I've had a lot of people on the show. But what I do know is that I make sure that everything that I can control is controlled so that is presented in a professional way. So that our thing, what falls under the umbrella of what a hip hop tone, because that's what I represent. I just have to make sure that I put our culture in a good, positive light, and that is a great experience, or at least the experience that I would love to witness and view. So,
Right.
you know, I look forward to what the future holds for you, GMS, and what you're doing. I know Super, you've been doing your thing, as I could tell by the lighting in your background. You know, that's a great thing. But just everybody out there, if there's something that you desire to do, even if it is not social or podcasting, if it's just you wanted to draw, you wanted to learn how to do anything, learning anything, this is the moment, this is the time to do all those things. We are here.
Definitely.
We are creatives. I don't know about everyone else, but I am a creator. I get anxiety. Some of us could deal with depression in different ways. One thing is that I'm a very hype person, as you probably can tell. So I need outlets and I create them. So for everybody out there, go out and just take that first step. Who cares if you crash? You're just going to get up and do it again. If you're my age, you survived the crack there. You survived the crack era, so you'll be all right. True
that. And for people that don't know, it's on his T-shirt. Show off your gems. It's right there. That's the name of his show. And his show, I want them to understand. Branding. But I want them to know what that means. So if you notice behind D, he's got a lot of dope collectible items and things, right?
I see. I'm looking at those.
When you watch his show, he asks people about their stuff and they present it. Like if it was me, I'd probably be talking about this X Cube or something, or the radio in the back that I just copped, things like that. So tell us about one item behind you, any one thing, like present it like it's your show, like you're a guest on Show Off Your Gems, because you got a lot of interesting things
I got a lot of interesting things.
Just show off one of your gems. You know what I mean? I'm gonna full screen you too, man. I want people to really see this.
Yeah, all right. So this item right here, this is, of course, you can see the sneaker of what it is. So on my show, I have a bunch of wonderful guests who come on, hip hop heads, actors, athletes, who come on the show and show off the items that they've collected throughout their careers. And I encourage anybody out here not only to watch, but if you yourself are a collector, I also open it for viewers to come on the show and also show off. So I hosted about 12 NBA All-Stars since 2008 was the first time I was a part of the league, and then they embraced me and then brought me on the other side as far as host talent. And I had to interview Giannis from the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, to let you know, when you come in this game, as far as like NFL and those big brands, you have to control yourself, and you can't be a fan about it. You have to be a professional. You have to understand, you know, there's a role that you play to get something across, either branding or an environment, feeling, an energy or whatever. So I came and I introduced myself to Giannis wearing these sneakers. And he said, these sneakers are from, I think he said it was from 2006, something like that, right? And if you guys want to know the truth, I don't care about the sneakers, right? What I cared about, I did purchase them, and I purchased them for like $24 when I got them, and I liked them because they were vibrant, right?
Okay.
They were very bright, and I said, I don't care about the sneakers because I respect that people are sneakerheads, and I'm not gonna bullshit you. I got sneaker gems here, but this one is deeper. The reason why is because I said, do you realize who's this signed by? And he was acting like an NBA player. If you guys know, these dudes got swag. They too cool for school type shit. You know what I mean? They're like, come on, man, I'm feeling myself. Let me shine. I was like, nah, B, if you don't know who signed my sneakers, I'm going to just say what's up to you, walk away from you, and we good. Because that's how I naturally am. Because with a lot of these athletes, I don't check them. I'm just a human being. They're a human being. Let's have a good time because we have to service the fan that is there wanting to get close to an NBA superstar.
It's all entertainment. Right?
Yeah. It's entertainment. I get it. I'm not a dick about it, but I also get it, right? So let's be humble with each other, bro. So his bodyguard looked at his bodyguard, and his bodyguard looked at my sneakers. Now, I can't tell if you guys can see, but I'll explain. And his bodyguard was like, wait, hold up. For sure. So his bodyguard stepped back. I sat by his wife, and I said like a joke to her. So remember, they're Greek. So I said a joke to her, and she's laughing. His friend is laughing. And now Giannis is like, yo, how this dude, like, he's like kind of curving me right now and making all of my friends and my family laugh. And then she laughed, and then he said something in Greek, like, what did he say to you? And then she says in English, nah, he's a cool dude. Talk to him. So I said, let me explain this sneaker to you. I host not only NBA events, the true passion that I have is hip hop. So this was a concert that I hosted. So this right here is Slick Rick, right?
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Happy belated Slick Rick. This right here is the God Rakim.
I seen that. I see that.
And then the next one right here is Dougie Fresh.
Nice.
Right? So these right here, come on, guys. These are gods right here. So I understand you're an NBA superstar, but show some respect.
Show some respect to hip hop.
Yeah, so this is one of my gems. I have many, and there are people who come on here. We've seen the script to Crush Groove, the script to Beat Street. We've seen a lot of amazing things. The props to the Buffalo Girls, Malcolm McLaren music video. We've seen a lot of amazing things. Avengers signed, shield by everybody in the MCU universe. It's been an amazing experience. I do it weekdays, 7 p.m. Every day.
Every day.
Week, Monday, weekdays. You guys understand American, right? Not
Monday
everybody went to Westinghouse. We understand how to
show off your gems. And you guys can see the personality. This is why D-Stroy gets hired to host things. You know, whether it's a show on digital or whether it's live, like he's got that personality. You guys are gonna love his show. Plus, he's got some amazing guests, and it's really interesting to watch what they pull out. You know, and
evolution is a great thing. Embrace it. I started this show, and then I even commentated an NBA basketball game from here. So the future is here. You're in the right place.
No doubt. So let me ask you: is there anything that you want to bring up about Cobra Kai or the Rubik's Cube?
Cobra Kai, you know,
we're having. Are you looking forward to that?
That Jada Pinkett Smith bought the franchise. She bought the concept, and she's the one who got her son to do the rehashing, as he was saying, as Super was saying about that film, and then this spin right here. So it's very smart that people like The Rock, Gal Gadot, who did the Salvation Army. She did the Wonder Woman thing. She produced it this time around.
Okay.
And The Rock has bought Rampage, the video game rights. He bought Jumanji. You know, these are smart things that actors are doing. So it wouldn't have happened otherwise. And I think that's beautiful. It's also nostalgic. So people of our age range are like, wow, we get to see Ralph again. You know, this is really cool. And, it gives us, we're in a moment of retrospect. So like podcasts, this specific show off your gems. It's a thing of our history. It's a thing we may not know. And it's also an innocent place in your life, right? So like some of the toys I have here are from when like right outside it was bad, you know what I mean? But I'd be like, oh snap, I got Voltron today, you know, let me play with this rather than play in the dirt and eat nails with my friends.
That's another one that they made movies out of that made billions and gazillions of dollars.
Right.
The whole Transformers thing.
The animated version in 85. Everything else, salute to Michael Bay. Bumblebee was good though.
Bumblebee was dope. I did like Bumblebee.
Bumblebee was a good attempt, and I'm still with it.
They should have started with that first. Like I think the biggest mistake,
right?
I think the biggest mistake with Transformers is they should have started with G1 flavor.
You know, you're right, but you got to remember that Bumblebee isn't a ticket seller. It had to grow to that.
No, I know that. What I'm saying is
that, but you still said the statement that you said, knowing that. Knowing what Michael Bay would have to put in that movie to build that. What's happening here?
I'm saying the G1 style is what I'm saying. The G1 style should have been used first, not necessarily just Bumblebee in particular. The G1 style is what I'm saying.
The intro, I loved it. They had Soundwave. I can't wait to show you guys what we're working with Show Off Your Gems. But yeah, I appreciate you.
That's dope.
I agree.
So
G1
do you think
is heat.
So do you think that they're going to be able to make a good story around the Rubik's Cube as a movie character? I mean, the whole Rubik's Cube
like you guys would, you brought up Lego. Lego was a block. Then they made the character. Now, because the character has a face, now they can work a story around it. They did it with Trolls. They pulled it off. You know what I mean? It was
but those are people at least. Yeah.
But it had a face, so they could do something with it. As far as Rubik's Cube, I just think, that's somebody with money who wants to tell a story of something that they're passionate about. And that's dope. That's cool. Let them keep talking about all the toys out there. That's fine. It's once again, it hits the nostalgic factor. It hits when we were a kid. So that's cool. Am I personally going to see it? I don't even think you guys are gonna watch it. I think you're gonna be like,
no, I'm gonna watch it. No, dude. Do you understand? This is not even. He loves Rubik,
wall. So he's definitely gonna go see
multiple layers. I have over 50 cubes back here.
Oh, so you about that Justin Bieber life? I get it.
About that cube life.
I'm with you. I respect.
Like
that.
I just solved the X cube. That was like the most craziest 3-dimensional. Like this cube is first you got to make it flat, and then you got to solve the colors. You can't even start solving the colors until you make it flat. It turns so many different ways. It's like it's this.
I love it.
So I'm like,
what's the biggest movie? What's the biggest shit is they got Dune and Tron popping out. These are earlier. Well, Dune was its own concept of rehashing.
Yeah.
But Tron was a game with lines. They pulled it off.
They made that. That was an awesome movie, man. We used to when we were little. We used to hold our frisbees from the top. And then throw them like this, like the discs. You know what I mean? Remember that?
Yeah.
Try to be like.
I remember I had the glow in the dark frisbee.
I had one.
No,
I had a glow in the dark frisbee. I had a glow in the dark sword, which was the lightsaber. And the kids are so lucky today. The lightsabers they make actually kind of look like a lightsaber. This is how cheesy it was when I think I was 5 or 6 when Star Wars 1 came out, and they had the Star Wars sheets and pillowcases. I had a poster, I had a coloring book, and I had a lightsaber. The lightsaber was like a sword. It looked like a Conan sword. It had a hilt, a handle like a real sword, not like a lightsaber. They just took another toy and they made it all white glow-in-the-dark material. They wrapped some tape around the handle so it won't glow. And they said, here, it's a lightsaber. And it was sold. And I was like, oh, I got a lightsaber. And you had to heat it up on your lamp. You had to put it next to a light and then turn the lights off. And later we found out that causes cancer. That's why I'm like this to this day. It affected my mind,
Yo, so we've had people come on here with just a sword collection, which has been pretty interesting too. I've seen the Thundercats Lion-O sword. I've seen mad swords.
I mean, I have over 20 bladed weapons in this room right now, but I can't pull them out. I got Kwandos, sabers. All kinds of swords. I have one. My favorite is called a horse chopper. It's like a handle. I can't even. Let me go full screen.
It goes like
the
this?
handle is like this size, just the handle. You could hold like 5 hands on the handle, and then the other half is a huge axe blade. It's curved, and you just kind of hold it like this and just go. You just hack at things. You use it in kung fu. You hack. So they're saying like when you would be on the ground as a soldier and horse knights with horses and samurais and stuff was charging you. You would like slit the horse throat or chop out his leg or cut the leg of the rider as they go by. And it was super heavy. It was halfway between a sword and an axe. So it had enough weight that it could really cut through the armor and stuff, But it's called a horse chopper. So
I like it.
I'm into that. What you got?
My battery is dead, but I have one of these right here. This is my light pike. This actually goes to a pike. It's actually a long pipe with this. So
pause, man. Pike. Talk about your pike, man.
Pike.
It's a family-friendly show.
Wait, so on the other side,
what's that?
The other side connects to another.
Is it a fifth one?
It connects. Matter of fact, I'll show you the whole thing. 1 second. I'll show you the whole thing.
It's like what Darth Maul, I guess, what they had with the double-sided.
Yo, bro, but you can't. Why you turn your camera off? Just leave it
man,
on.
you don't want us to see you setting up like
let
this.
Let us see you figuring it out, bro. We ain't got. What the hell is going on?
But I'm glad that we talked a little bit about those other movies and things, because that's basically what Dmajini's show is all about. He discusses films and entertainment and comic books becoming movies and stuff like that. So y'all check out his show if you want some more of that. Oh wow, that's really dope. That's hot.
It's actually like a staff lightsaber. So
what is it, like 7-8 feet?
Yeah.
It's taller than you, right?
Yeah, it is taller than me.
That's dope.
That's a true fan right there.
Yeah, I love that. See, that's what we do on the show. We just have people who, and you'd be surprised the stuff people you're a fan of. Like we had Psycho Les on as a guest last week, and he showed a Sergio Valente doll.
Wow, I haven't heard that name in so long, man. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so you see a lot of things like that. And of course he definitely has Star Wars. He had a whole little fighting scene. He actually had a scene where they're playing cards with each other. You know what I mean? So it's really dope. He had G.I. Joes, I remember. He had a bunch of stuff and a lot of horror film stuff because he's a horror film buff. And it's great. So on the show you get to see like artists that you're a fan of that you didn't know they had like another interest, you know. Mm-hmm. And that's what the show has been a gem for.
No doubt. That's dope. Let's wrap it up with our last thoughts on this Andrew Yang, because in the comments, and let me shout out a couple more people. Shout out to my stepmom, Vita. She's listening. Shout out to China. She said that the owners, like when Melquan said in the Bronx, they called bodegas when they were owned by Hispanic people, but the Arab-owned spots, she said we called them Aki spots, and maybe that was racist, but that's just what they called them. And China said, and also we knew the owners and their families, and they knew your family. That was kind of another interesting comment. And Harry says, we need Yang Gang, my G. So besides the discussion on Bodega, you could give some final thoughts on that. Do you think that this now means that Andrew Yang can't relate to true New Yorkers and he shouldn't run for mayor? Or it's just like he's trying to do good? You said there is an organization. They represent, I think, 13,000 different stores, and they call them the organization Bodegas, right? Even though they're not
Bodega
all Spanish bodegas, right?
Yeah. So it legitimizes kind of the word to cross pollinate culture wise. But with Andrew Yang, I've seen him publicly, personally, and he's engaging. You know, he tries to engage everyone. With this certain thing, it's like, I'll be honest with you, B, a lot of people don't have a voice, and then we enhance it when we kind of like acknowledge all these people with like 3 followers who have something silly to say. And I'm not saying that one specific point was silly. There is some, I kind of get it. I hear what he's saying, what they were saying as far as, you know, the store he went into. But, you know, everybody has a problem with everything. Like right now, you could show Tupac and Biggie on stage at Manhattan Center, and Aaliyah's doing the chorus, Jay Dilla's on the beat, and Jam Master Jay's on the turntable, and somebody's gonna find something wrong with that. Mm-hmm. You know, so you know that people do what you're gonna do. Is gonna take a while for that mayoral thing. By that time, this thing is gonna be forgotten tomorrow. It probably was forgotten today already, I'm sure. I had to actually look it up because after the election, I just broke away from any political stuff. But right. Other than that, you know, everybody's gonna have an issue with everything. You know, so just move and keep a smile in your back pocket because you're gonna need it. No doubt. Dmajini, anything? Any last words on anything? And then we'll just shout out the Instagrams.
I think we covered everything, man. I really appreciate having you here. I D-Stroy. It's pretty dope, man. That's interesting. I'm gonna make sure. You know what you also got to do too? You got to make sure you put the links in the description. Done. So you got your link in the description.
Yeah. No, I mean, so let's put the links to the show. So what's your show link, D-Stroy? It's YouTube.com. I actually just did it. I'm gonna do it with the actual link itself. Oh, I didn't scroll down. I didn't see it. Now I see it.
Okay, cool. I see you. It's on YouTube, right?
Well, yeah, I also have it on YouTube. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I also have it on YouTube. I do the lives on Instagram, but on...
And then you upload it later?
I upload it, and repost it on YouTube, so I'll do
No
that.
doubt. So definitely follow D-Stroy's Instagram.
I'm gonna put my link in the
at
chat.
D-Stroy. You can see it on the screen if you're watching. But also go check out his show on YouTube. Since we're going live on YouTube right now, a lot of people can just click over and check that out. Check all the past episodes.
Yeah,
that are probably dope. And I will just say that I think it could be seen as nitpicking. Like as soon as he announced I'm running for mayor and he put out this commercial, said I'm going to really be trying to support these small businesses. And everyone was like, "Oh, you called them bodegas," but yes, it's true. But at the same time, they can do that. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have good ideas for the city. It means like, yo, when you're incorrect, no matter who you are, people could check you and correct you. And hopefully it's just a learning experience now. And Andrew Yang will just be like, oh, maybe he didn't even know about that issue. Maybe he just heard people say bodega and he said it. And now he's educated to another important aspect of identity, especially in New York City. So he needed to get that little pushback. But yeah, I don't think it's going to pull him out of the race or anything. We're going to have to wait and see some more of his ideas and what he's really talking about and compare it to Eric Adams and other people who are all running.
Yeah, let's see.
Too soon for me to endorse him, but I'm glad he's in it. I did like him for president, so I'm open to hear what he's going to do for city. But like I said, I like other mayoral hopefuls as well, so I really want to hear some debates and hear all the issues and stuff.
It's great for representation as well. So salute to the Asian population out here who've been in the United States, doing their thing, making an impact on our country, and to have somebody who they could resonate with is dope, and I'm speaking from my point of view, like Sotomayor being the one to do it with Kamala on the 20th is really dope. Like her knowing she's from the Bronx, she's a Latina and all that, just identity wise for the younger versions of her, for the men and women could be inspired to look up to somebody who has served their community and has went into the world of politics is very dope, and it's necessary.
No doubt. So that's all for this week. I'm going to tell everyone to follow both of these guys. They have a lot of great content. You already heard Show Off Your Gems. You know what his show is about. That's my man D-Stroy, and Dmajini talks about entertainment, movies, comic books, all kinds of stuff. And
and I put the link in the chat right now.
and of course the Dark Circle. What days? The Dark Council.
Dark Council is on Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m.
Okay.
We usually go for about maybe 2.5 hours, and it's just us basically going over the last week's entertainment or whatever came off popping during the weekday. So
no doubt. And if anyone out there is watching because you know me and I sent you a link or something and you tuned in, or you noticed it was Mr. Cybersky from my students' parents or Mr. Cybersky, there's an episode where I'm having a conversation. It's called the Hangout Session, right, on Dmajini's show Spellbroken. So go scroll through. You'll see my face. Check that out.
Yeah, I have it up. I left that up. I made sure I left it up. So
no doubt.
Yeah.
And so welcome to the Cybersky. I hope you guys learned something. Thank you to both of my esteemed guests helping me jump off this podcast, which will now be broadcasting every Sunday. I'm going to do this. The time will fluctuate a little until I get better at scheduling, and then I can be like, boom, we're going 3:00 or whatever it is. But I'm going to start early in the day working on it, and I'll lock in the schedule by the time we get to episode 1. So this was episode -1. We got, or -1. We got episode 0.
What bullshit is that?
Episode 0 is coming up.
You use your D-Stroy pass on a freaking demo, fam?
Come on, bro. It's not a demo.
Hold on, D-Stroy.
D-Stroy,
I was just saying, you heard me say that's like a dope number though, because I have that Magneto 0 sitting in my back pocket right there. So that's a rare.
It's a 0 issue of Magneto.
I have a 0 issue of Magneto.
Well, when he becomes the Joe Rogan of this shit, then I'm like, yo, fam, that was dope.
Yo, everybody's gonna see. They're gonna go back to. They're gonna say, "Let me see episode 1," and they're gonna say, "Let me see episode 0." Then they see, "Let me see episode -1." You know what I mean? Part of history right now. You're part of history. Basically, you guys are both part of my first ever Cybersky Videos live stream podcast.
There you go.
So well, that is historical.
You guys are both welcome to come on the show and show off. I appreciate happy to be on here and hang out with you guys for a little bit. Everybody just continue smiling and find reasons to smile. good energy is attractive, so keep that around you.
All right. Step. Everybody smash the like button, hit the subscribe, ring the bell, do all that good stuff. But more important than any of that is put something in the comments, when this is up, even if you're watching this, after the fact, and let us know your opinions and all those things, because we want to continue to debate. And I'm definitely going to go in and answer every comment and have a conversation with you guys. So I will see you there. As always, everyone, stay blessed.
Peace.